stop. Before you imagine the golden eagles, the cheering crowds in Rome, and the glory of conquest, I want you to erase everything Hollywood has told you. You have seen the movies. You have seen the hero charging fearlessly into battle, his armor shining in the sunlight, his cape flowing in the wind. It looks magnificent. It looks heroic. But that is not history. That is fantasy. The reality of being a Roman legionary was not a glorious adventure. It was a 25-year death sentence served in the mud, the rain, and the blood. It was a life of absolute submission, where you were no longer a man, but a cog in the most ruthless machine the world had ever seen. Most men did not die with a sword in their hand fighting for the emperor. They died coughing up blood in a cold tent, their bodies broken by disease, malnutrition, and exhaustion. They died screaming under the lash of their own officers. So, I have a question for you. Do you think you would have survived? Do you think you have the mental fortitude to endure the unendurable? Today, we are going to strip away the myth. We are going to march into the true heart of the Legion. By the end of this video, you will understand why the Roman soldier was the most terrifying force on earth. Not because of his weapons, but because of what he had to suffer. Welcome to the Legion. It begins with a choice, or perhaps desperation. You are a young man in the Roman provinces. You have nothing. No land, no trade, no future. The recruiter comes to your village. He promises you a salary. He promises you citizenship. He promises that if you survive 25 years, you will be given land, a piece of the world to call your own. It sounds like a dream, but the moment you sign your name or make your mark, the dream ends. The nightmare of discipline begins. First comes the probatio, the inspection. They strip you naked. They check your teeth, your eyes, your limbs. They are not looking for heroes. They are looking for mules. They need men who can walk until their feet bleed and then walk some more. If you are too weak, you are rejected. If you pass, you belong to Rome. You take the sacramentum, the sacred oath. This was not just a pledge of allegiance. In the ancient world, this was a religious ritual that fundamentally changed your status as a human being. By taking the oath, you voluntarily gave up your status as a civilian. You gave your commander the legal right to beat you, to imprison you, and to execute you without a trial. You ceased to be an individual. You became property of the state. They burn a mark into your skin or tattoo your hand. Now there is no running away. If you desert, you will be hunted down like an animal. And the punishment for desertion is not prison. It is death, usually by the beasts in the arena or crucifixion. You are in now. There is no way out but through the 25 years, or through the grave. You think the training is about sword fighting? You are wrong. The sword is the last thing you worry about. The first enemy you face is gravity. They called the legionaries Marius's mules for a reason. Imagine this. You are wearing 40 pounds of armor, chainmail, or segmented plates that dig into your shoulders. Your helmet restricts your vision and hearing. Your shield, the scutum, weighs another 20 pounds. But that is just your combat gear. On top of that, you carry a sarsena, a marching pack. Inside, you have 3 days of rations, a cooking pot, a saw, a basket, a pickaxe, and 2 massive wooden stakes for building the camp. In total, you're carrying nearly 80 to 100 pounds of gear. That is the weight of a small human being strapped to your back. Now march, not for an hour, but for 20 miles, every single day, in the blistering heat of Syria or the freezing rain of Britannia. The standard pace is strict. If you lag behind, the centurion is there. He doesn't yell. He strikes. Your feet blister. Your shoulders rub raw until they bleed under the armor. Your knees scream in agony, but you cannot stop. The column moves like a giant serpent, and if you stop, you are trampled. This was the genius of the Roman army. They didn't just outfight their enemies. They outwalked them. They could move faster and carry more than any tribal army in history. But the cost was paid in the cartilage and bones of young men like you. And when the march ends, do you rest? No. The sun is setting. You are exhausted. You haven't eaten since dawn. But now, the real work begins. You must build a fortified camp. You take those wooden stakes you carried all day. You dig a ditch. You build a wall. You set up tents in perfect grid formation. Every single night, regardless of whether you are in friendly territory or deep in enemy lands, you build a city from scratch. Only when the walls are up and the sentries are posted are you allowed to collapse. If the march didn't break you, the lifestyle might kill you. We often imagine soldiers feasting around a fire, but the diet of a legionary was grim. You ran on grain, wheat, barley, day in and day out, sometimes made into a hard bread, sometimes boiled into a tasteless porridge. Meat was a luxury, often only available if you hunted or slaughtered local livestock. But the water was the enemy. Drinking from streams and rivers in the ancient world was a game of Russian roulette. Dysentery was rampant. Cholera was always watching. To combat this, you drank pasca, a mixture of water and sour wine, essentially vinegar. It tasted terrible, but the acidity helped kill some of the bacteria. It was the Gatorade of the ancient world, keeping you alive when the water wanted to kill you. Disease killed far more Roman soldiers than barbarian swords ever did. Imagine sleeping in a leather tent with 7 other men. The smell of sweat, unwashed bodies, and wet wool is overpowering. If one man gets sick, everyone gets sick. There is no quarantine in a tent. You are constantly wet. In campaigns like those in Germania, soldiers would spend months without ever being truly dry. Your skin rots. Your feet develop trench foot before the term even existed. You lose teeth to scurvy. And yet, you're expected to fight with the strength of a demon when the horn blows. Who did the Roman soldier fear most? The hairy giants of the north? The horse archers of the east? No. He feared his centurion. The centurion was the backbone of the legion. He was a veteran who had survived everything you are going through. And in his hand, he carried a symbol of his absolute power, the vites, a staff made from a twisted grapevine. It was heavy, hard, and flexible, and it was used liberally. If your armor was dirty, the staff. If you were out of step, the staff. If you looked at him the wrong way, the staff. There is a famous story of a centurion named Lucilius during a mutiny. His nickname among the soldiers was "Gimme Another." Why? Because he would break a vine staff over a soldier's back and immediately shout to his attendant, "Give me another," because the first one had snapped from the force of the blow. But individual beatings were nothing compared to the collective punishments. If a unit showed cowardice in battle, if they slept during guard duty, the punishment was systematic and psychological. The most infamous was decimation. Imagine standing in formation with your cohort, 480 men. You have failed Rome. The general announces decimation. You are divided into groups of 10. You draw lots. It is random. It doesn't matter if you were the bravest man or the coward. It is pure chance. If you pull the white stone, you live. If you pull the black stone, you die. But the executioner is not the centurion. It is not the general. The 9 men who survived, your friends, your tent mates, the men you ate bread with last night, are given clubs and stones. They are forced to beat you to death. If they refuse, they are killed too. So they strike. They bludgeon their brother to death to prove their loyalty to the Legion. This was the cold, calculating brutality that forged the iron discipline of Rome. They made sure you feared your commander more than you feared death itself. Finally, the battle comes. After the marching, the digging, the starving, and the beatings, you stand on the field. The enemy is screaming, banging shields, trying to intimidate you. But you are silent. The Legion does not scream. The Legion waits. This is not a duel. You are not a warrior seeking personal glory. You are a brick in a wall of iron. When the signal comes, you throw your pilum, your heavy javelin. It is designed to punch through shields and bend, rendering the enemy's defense useless. Then you draw the gladius, the short sword. You do not swing it like a movie hero. You stab, short, brutal thrusts. Aim for the gut, the groin, the face. You hide behind your massive shield, creating a wall of wood and leather. You push forward. Step, stab, step, stab. It is industrial slaughter. You are slipping on the blood of the men you just killed. The noise is deafening. The clash of metal. The screams of the dying. You're exhausted. Your arm feels like lead, but the centurion's whistle keeps you in rhythm. The front line fights for minutes, maybe 10 or 15. Then a whistle blows. The lines rotate. You move back. The fresh man behind you moves forward. You catch your breath while he kills. Then you rotate back in. It is a machine that processes human flesh. And if you win, you strip the bodies, you burn the dead, and you march again. So, why did they do it? Why did hundreds of thousands of men subject themselves to this hell? For the promise that if you survived the disease, the lash, the ambush, and the wars, you would be elevated. After 25 years, you received the missio honesta, the honorable discharge. You were given a plot of land, a lump sum of gold, and the respect of society. You could marry. You could retire in peace. You could watch your children grow up in a world that you helped conquer. But the records show a dark truth. Nearly 50% of recruits never made it to retirement. They lie in unmarked graves across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Their bones mixed with the soil of the empire they built. They were the fuel for the engine of Rome. The glory of the Roman Empire was built on the broken backs and silent suffering of these men. Men who walked into hell for a patch of dirt. Now I want you to look at your life today. We complain about traffic. We complain about the internet being slow. We complain about our bosses. Imagine the ghost of a legionary standing behind you, watching you complain. The Roman legionary conquered the world not because he was a Superman, but because he endured. He accepted that life is suffering, and he did his duty anyway. Could you do it? Could you survive just 1 week in a Roman legion? Or would you break under the weight of the pack and the fear of the vine staff? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you want to understand the mindset that allowed these men to survive, the philosophy of Stoicism, check the link in the description for the Meditations of the Emperor Marcus Aurelius. It might just make you a little bit tougher. This is Heritage of Rome. Subscribe and join the Legion. I will see you in the next video.